Hello healers and health seekers. It's me, Ichoda, healing with medical medium information for 3 years now. And today I am making part 3 of my symptoms and conditions What Have I Healed videos series. Hopefully this is the last part. We'll see what happens. Okay, I am just going to continue from my last couple of videos. This is part 3, part 1 and 2 are linked below, and I will just continue on the list for parts 1 and 2. Please go watch those if you haven't already. Here we go. The next symptom that I had was muscle weakness. Obviously, I mean not just weakness but atrophy really, because I couldn't move for so long, and so my muscles were kind of atrophying and they were very weak, couldn't lift things, couldn't, just pain, you know, like everything was just very weak, and it kind of went along with that heaviness, but there was also just weakness. And that has definitely improved. My muscles have started getting stronger, and I can feel that they're stronger, and that's a pretty cool feeling. The noise you hear is Muffins the pug eating her breakfast. That is all the banging of the bowl and the snorkel sounds of her orphan up her food. There she is. Bumps and cysts. Obviously I had cysts because I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, but those were on the inside. I also had them on the outside. I had some on my right breast. At different times I would just get like a cyst, and it would build up and burst open and not heal for 2 months. It was so weird because I have never in my life had a wound that wouldn't heal. I was kind of mortified about it, and I didn't want to go to a doctor because I didn't want to hear what they would have to say about it. Also, it was really close to the time I found the medical medium information that happened. It was kind of right before. So I was just in the height of that deep anxiety and just feeling very terrified and scared about my whole world and overwhelmed. It was like I just couldn't cope with one more thing, and so I just didn't. I did tell my husband, but he didn't tell anybody else. I had so many symptoms to worry about, and it was just like, oh, okay, this, whatever. And I am happy to say, long ago, like very early in the healing journey with medical medium information, not only did that wound heal, the cyst healed, and I've never seen hide nor hair of it again. It is gone. And I also had like a bump in my armpit, and I have that written down, but I honestly don't really remember much about it. I think the bump was a little bit painful and kind of hard, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember much about it. It did heal. I've never seen anything like it come up again. So I'm just gonna put it in that category with the cysts. Such a relief to be rid of those symptoms. All right, we're getting into my pain, my physical pain. I always had like tightness and soreness across my shoulders. I was going to the chiropractor constantly. It just wasn't helping. I would get regular massage therapy appointments. Actually, both the chiropractor and the massage therapist did drop off. They didn't. I did, from going to see them, because I couldn't leave my house. It really just did get to the point where I couldn't even do that. Like it was too much on me, and I couldn't handle it. And I was just getting more and more fragile physically, but also in my psyche, and I was becoming a shut-in. So when I could, I was going to the chiropractor and I was getting massage therapy until I couldn't anymore, and then I wasn't. Also physical therapy. So, and then also chronic lower back pain from 25 years. I had developed bursitis in my hips. That was a new one. I had arthritis in my neck, my upper cervical spine, and possibly, I think maybe my lower back. I was also diagnosed with degenerative disc disease, again, like 20 years ago. I had been in multiple car accidents when I was younger. I was never the driver. I just chose poorly with people I was willing to get into cars with. And each time in those car accidents, I injured my lower back, and thus began my love affair with chiropractors. Actually, I grew up with chiropractors as family friends, so always had chiropractic in my life. But I definitely developed a full appreciation for them when my back started just being injured over and over again, and then I just had to go to them all the time. I had these, my sacral spots on my back. There was just always this ongoing, persistent, constant, fiery burning pain. which I now know is shingles. So was the tightness across my neck and shoulders. That was also shingles. I did not know, but now I know. As was the itching, the all over body itching. That pain was so brutal. I sought out so many chiropractors and massage therapists trying to just alleviate some of that pain and feel like normal and functional, and I lived with just constant pain in my back for so many decades of my life, and I was stunned when that pain went away. I never thought, it did not even cross my mind even a little bit when I started using the medical medium information that my pain would go away. I just thought, no, but I live with pain. I just want this fatigue. I want to take care of this fatigue, and I want to get some of these other symptoms down. Did not even cross my mind that it was even a possibility for me to live without pain, because I had lived with it for so long. So when the pain went away from my body, and that was also just several months in, maybe a year, I don't know. And then one day I just noticed there's no pain in my body, like at all. And I couldn't believe it. So I wasn't having pain from the bursitis in my hips. I wasn't having the fibromyalgia pain, which is just like all over, pressure points of the body. I wasn't having the pain in my lower back. I wasn't having the pain in my neck or my shoulders. I wasn't having that tightness. I was like, there's no pain in my body. What is this sensation? It's new. I've never experienced it before since a child. So symptoms heal that you did not expect would go away. Like things that you have just lived with and you just thought, well, this is just what life is like in this body. I was so stunned. Okay, perioral dermatitis. And I still, you can see, have like traces of it where is these itchy bumps, and I get sort of like an itchy rash on my chin, and it will itch. This still happens. So I think this is just like old stuff coming out of my liver, which is great, and my lymphatic system still needs help. So I still get this. So that's not officially diagnosed because I've never gone to a dermatologist. That's like the one doctor I haven't seen is a dermatologist, because to be honest, my skin was the least of my worries. Like how was I gonna care about how I looked when I couldn't even move or get up off the anything? Like how could I even, like, I don't have time to think about that. My appearance, this is just whatever, this happens. It was even beyond a secondary symptom. The fact that I can focus on it now means I've healed so friggin' much that I can actually focus on extraneous things that would matter to people who are functional, but did not matter to me as being completely non-functional. I just wanted function back. Now I have function back, so now I'm like, oh, this. This etchy stuff on my face. Along with that, like the rosacea, the acne, I had so much going on up here. And that, honestly, all of that only started within like the past 5 years. Those are all new to my life comparatively. Chronic pain for 20 years. This is only 5 years old, so that's new. Multiple chemical sensitivities? Yeah. So here's the thing about multiple chemical sensitivity. Medical Medium has said about multiple chemical sensitivity, healing happens in our bodies. Like our bodies are healing, but we will always have a level of that sensitivity. But what will happen is our recovery time will become much faster. And that has absolutely shown to be true. And I would even say that my level of sensitivity to things has gone down. I can tolerate being around certain scents or smells or toxins that, like, I can go into a Target. I definitely could not go into a Target before, or a big box store, because they sell so many petrochemical based products and all of the off-gassing new products that they sell. It's just like, it's just a chemical maelstrom in a big box store. And I could not cope with that environment. I would get migraines, brain fog, dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea. I couldn't even go in for 10 minutes. It would just do me in. And now I can go actually on a whole shopping trip through Target. I don't spend a ton of time in there because I do know what those toxins are and I know what they do to the body, so I don't want to hang around in them. But I'm just saying, I can go into one and I can actually be comfortable, and my recovery time is super fast and it doesn't take me out. Like if even a few minutes in a Target before would have taken me out. That's not even me trying to walk through the store, because I couldn't walk through the store. I couldn't walk through anything. I had to always use those little riding carts. And not only can I walk through, but I can be in there and not be completely taken out. So it's definitely, that's just an example. Or Costco or any of those places. Costco, has the rubber tires right in front, and so that just off-gassing rubber is just right in your face. And when you walk through the door, it's like, oh, it's like a wall of petrochemical off-gassing. I don't know how other people, and then they also, right there, they've got the tires, and then on the other side right there, they have all the electronics. So there's like EMFs and radiation just blasting here, and then all the off-gassing petrochemicals here, and you have to walk through all that way to the back to get to the food. The food's way in the back because they want you to weave through the rest of the store. I get it. I understand marketing, and I freaking love Costco. So this is not to diss Costco, because Costco, as far as big businesses go, Costco is like up there with ethics and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to talk bad about Costco. This is just the world we live in, okay? It's just an example. So multiple chemical sensitivity. Heck yeah, I still do. Definitely. Like perfumes, plug-in air fresheners, scented candles. I cannot. Honestly, it's hard for me to go into most people's homes. I cannot even go, like my in-laws wear a lot of perfume and cologne, and they use like all the chemicals, and I can't go into their home at all. And here's another example. My own mom has just painted the inside of her house and gotten new vinyl flooring. Guess what? I can't go into her house at all. I can't. That's off-gassing paint. There are safe paints. There are safe floorings that you can use that are new if you are going to do a project. There's a really fantastic website that gives options for safe building products called, I think it's called My Chemical, what is it called? I'll put a link to it below because it's a really good website if you're interested in stuff like that. But so yeah, now I can't go into my mom's house and I can't, when we're looking for new homes, a lot of what I cannot do is, if thank goodness people think it's a selling feature and list it in the description, all new paint, all new flooring, recently remodeled, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't even go into a house like that. People think plug-in air fresheners are a great way to freshen up the air. No, they are a great way to fill your liver with toxins and poison yourself. That's what they're for. That's what they do, okay? It is horrible that those exist. I mean, really, it is criminal, and the people, I don't even want to use the word people, the evil corporations that created those to poison people in such an insidious way should all be imprisoned. Seriously. It is criminal that they exist and that they sell them to people as being safe and okay, because they are not. They are not safe for pets. They are not safe for humans. I could do a whole video about it. I won't because I don't just want to run my adrenaline. That's not cool. Let me take this hit of glucose though. Well, I got all upset. All right. So yes, multiple chemical sensitivity, it's tricky, but he also says, Medical Medium also says about that, he said it's good that you're sensitive because then you know in advance when something can harm you. Most people don't have that ability. So basically, we're superheroes, okay? If you're multiply chemically sensitive, you're a freaking superhero. It's like a super taster. It's like that's our superpower, is that we can sniff out toxins in a single sniff, all right? And other people are just like, I don't smell smoke, what? And you're like, no, somebody has smoked cigarettes in this house, and then you find the pack of cigarettes in the closet. That happened. So it's an interesting superpower to have, but think of yourself that way, okay? Because it makes you feel better about it. As part of my mast cell activation disorder, one of the symptoms was I could get anaphylaxis, and I would get anaphylactic reactions to chemicals in my environment. I would get anaphylactic reactions to, honestly, sometimes if I had too much sensory stimulation, and then I would have like big emotional responses. The crash from the emotional response and the adrenaline and whatever, like I would have anaphylactic reactions to that. So it was very important for me to sort of keep my environment as calm and level because my body couldn't be. So oh my gosh, that was really hard. So my allergist, of course I had an allergist. I had mast cell activation disorder. You don't not have an allergist if you have mast cell activation disorder. So my allergist tested me and said, you have anaphylaxis to bees. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was a beekeeper. So her telling me I had anaphylaxis to bees was devastating for me. But what I wanted to say about the bee sting allergy is that I don't have a bee sting allergy. But here's what happened. I wrote a blog post about it, which I will post a link to below. And the blog post is called, "That Time I Got Stung by a Bee and Didn't Die." So this was after I had been diagnosed with this anaphylaxis to bees. Well, you can see that I didn't die, right? Obviously, I didn't die. And I was okay. And it took me a few days to recover from that. But it only took me a few days to recover from that. I didn't die. So that was pretty cool. Honestly. Maybe I will make a whole video telling that story. So I'm pretty sure that my anaphylaxis to bees has been healed by my body healing. That's what I think happened. Pretty freaking amazing. Okay, kind of going back to my skin. I always had that butterfly rash on my face. I sometimes still have that a lot. So that has not fully healed and also is, again, new in the past 5 years. And another symptom that I have had is always having a runny nose in the morning. Just always. That's a strep symptom. And lately, that has not happened. It did happen the morning after the fireworks on July 5th. I was having some coughing. That was actually yesterday, but by the time I post this video, it won't be yesterday. But I was having some coughing and my throat was and I was like, what is going on? Like, why do I feel like this? And I'm like, oh, fireworks yesterday. That's right. The air I've been breathing probably that stuff. But yeah, and so that day I had a runny nose, but not today, and that is definitely going away. I think I already talked about my POTS symptoms, one of the symptoms being that I would get dizziness when standing. I would have blood pressure fluctuations, so from standing to sitting and sitting to standing or whatever, mostly from sitting to standing. I'd get dizzy when I stood up, and then I would have these blood pressure fluctuations and just wild blood pressure swings. But that's POTS, that's dysautonomia POTS, those are symptoms of that. That wasn't fun, and it doesn't happen anymore, so that's great. That's gone. I also have had this raised mole on the side of my head. In one of the other videos, I talked about having a raised mole under like at the very top of my leg on the back, and it disappearing. And I have had, I guess, my whole life. Now that one was weird because it just appeared out of nowhere and then it disappeared after I started eating this way. Now this one on my head, I've had my whole entire life. But it used to be raised more significantly, and now it's actually going down to where it just sort of feels like a mosquito bite. Like it used to feel like a little, I don't know, like it was bigger. I don't know how to describe that, but it stuck out farther. And I'm like, oh, is this actually going down? And it is. It feels like it's going down. So that's really interesting because it just sort of feels like a hard bump now, whereas before it kind of used to be like a bigger. I don't think I'd ever shave my head. Anyway. So that's going down, which is kind of weird and interesting. Did I talk about my allergy to smoke? Have an allergy to smoke. Had an allergy to smoke? No, I'm still sensitive to smoke. Again, multiple chemical sensitivity. Smoke comes from so many different sources and usually not clean ones. You know, campfires and stuff like that, people pour butane. So a lot of times I can smell the butane in the air when people are doing, oh, it's awful. And I will never eat anything from a barbecue grill because it's metal. You're heating up metal under your meat, straight under your meat, and it's a char, and usually people clean them with like those wire bristle brushes, so you're just like scraping off metal, and that's just going to go into your food. And the char itself is carcinogenic, and so I don't want to eat any of that. Just, yeah, the smoke allergy, obviously cigarette smoke, of course. I cannot even be around. I mean, I just get so sick. I can't be around anyone smoking cigarettes or anything like that. I can't, even if people smoke but aren't smoking around me, like I can smell the smoke on them, and I can't be around that. It makes me feel ill. I have noticed my tolerance is gone. It's a little bit better because obviously being in the RV, we're around campfires a lot. And especially in the Midwest where they're allowed to have campfires because it's not too dry. And they still bother me a bit, but it's a lot better. A lot better than it was. Like before, I couldn't tolerate them at all, and it was so brutal to be around them. Even 2 years ago it was like that, and now it's getting better. So all kinds of healing is happening. Okay, well here's one that I don't know how to say about this because, okay, so I have an allergy to alcohol, opiates, NSAIDs, and antibiotics. All of these because of the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and the connective tissue issues, probably in the mast cell activation disorder. One of the symptoms that comes along with these is that particular allergies to antibiotics, to NSAIDs, and to opiates. I could never be a hard drug user in my teens and 20s because I was allergic to opiates. That's the reason. I did drink alcohol and I did have an allergy to it. I would always flush when I drank alcohol, and I would always be like overly drunk. Like it affected me. Oh. Anyway, so I'm not gonna go into that, but I still drank anyway because I didn't realize it was an allergy. I just thought that's what being drunk is like. But I now understand that that was an allergy. And then because alcohol also would contribute to my migraines later, I stopped drinking alcohol because it's not fun. Like there's no fun in having something that you know is going to cause you a migraine. So I just didn't drink it. And then medical medium said, yeah, I mean, I think we all know alcohol pickles the liver, and really you don't even want to have it like in your tinctures or anything because it's really bad for the liver. And I'm like, yeah, that's great that I don't drink then. So allergies to all those things, I can't say that those have healed because I have no intention of ever consuming any of those things in my lifetime. So I don't know what to say about that, but so that's something. I do still have the alcohol sensitivity. I had a friend who was an herbalist, and one day I was at her house and she was making tinctures and alcohol, herbal tinctures and alcohol, and I got, just from her having alcohol in my presence, just from smelling it, I had a migraine for like 3 days after being at her house. It was horrific. I was so reactive to that. It was, and not just a migraine, but I just like I felt horrible, just awful. That was 2 years ago, but I'm just going to assume that I still have that sensitivity because I don't have any reason to find out otherwise. Okay. And I think I talked about this in my POTS symptoms also when I talked about chest pain, having chest pain and the heart palpitations and stuff like that. That's gone. I haven't experienced that in so long. Over 2 years for sure. Almost 3 probably. Temperature deregulation. Too hot or cold. So my body was not able to regulate its own temperature. It couldn't do it, and so everything, hot was way too hot, cold was way too cold, and sometimes it would just swing in a direction. I'd be too hot or too cold no matter what the temperature was in the room, and I always had to be in sort of temperature controlled environments because I would just have reactions to anything that was too hot, which is the definition of too hot or too cold was basically anything that wasn't sort of a consistent, 70 between, well, not even 68, that was too cold, but like 72 degrees. Like it had to be between 70 and 72 degrees for me to be comfortable, and anything else would be too hot or too cold. So that was really hard. And then, yeah, I couldn't like go out in the sun because it just would take me out. It would tank me, and I couldn't go out in the cold for the same reason. So just complete temperature dysregulation. I couldn't maintain. And so I would be shivering, and have to have blankets on, and it was very unpleasant to live with. Muscle spasms. Okay, I had muscle spasms in my eye. Oh man, it was just, and it would go all the time. My eye would just always be spasming and driving me freaking crazy. And In addition, since we're speaking about eyes, I would get like eye floaters where just I could see little things floating across my vision and blurry vision, stuff like that. And again, very quickly into the medical medium information, those muscle spasms went away. Oh my gosh. I also got muscle spasms in my body, like in my back, and I think sometimes in my legs and my feet. Oh, they were horrible. And then some of them would be painful, but some of them were just annoying. Like there just would be this sort of jumping muscle and you would see it and it was creepy and icky, and that has not happened in almost 3 years, and I am so happy about that. Yay, medical medium information. Oh yeah, knee pain. That was a new one. Okay, so again, right before I found the medical medium information, I had just started experiencing knee pain. And it made sense to me because I had gained all the weight from the concussion and was having trouble getting it off, or like I just was gaining it. So the knee pain made sense because it's like, oh, I have now all of this extra weight, and of course it's going to hurt to move my knees around. And I did see a doctor about the knee pain. I think they said I had arthritis in my knee or something like that. I don't even remember. Isn't this crazy that I don't remember my diagnoses a lot? Oh my gosh. I think it was like arthritis in my knee. I was just like, that's not cool. Not more pain. I already had all this other chronic pain in my body. I don't need it in my knees also. But yeah, gone. No knee pain. Knee pain, again, went away pretty quick. Haven't had it again. Canker and cold sores. I don't know which ones to call them because I would get both. I would get the ones on the outside, and it always would start here, and I could feel it when it was starting. I could feel this sort of like tingling in my lip, and I was like, oh God, it's coming. Another one's going to come. And I would get those, and I also got the ones on the inside of the mouth. And those are gone. Those have healed, fully healed, and I just don't get them anymore. And I'm so glad because they would be painful. And then if they were on the outside, obviously people could see them. Bleeding gums and receding gums, oral health. My gums, you could just touch them and they bleed, and they did start to recede, and that freaked me out because I've always had, I won't say good teeth because I've had fillings and plenty of cavities throughout my life. So that's another sign that, your liver is struggling, is if you're getting cavities and, the minerals aren't getting where they're supposed to be and stuff like that. Medical Medium has done all of these great shows on oral health and oral care, and the celery juice book has even more information on oral care with celery juice, and it's fantastic. And I've learned so much about like why these things happen and how they happen and with our teeth. But yes, I did have bleeding gums and receding gums, and it was getting bad. Like my teeth would be like a little bit wiggly, and that was kind of freaky. And that does not happen anymore. I started doing some of the things that Medical Medium recommended for oral care. I haven't even initiated all of them yet because he has quite an extensive list of like things you can do, and I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to that. Like it's just I don't want to have to do all of that. I just haven't put it all into my routine, but I have put some of the things into my routine, and then just, eating the right foods and drinking the celery juice and building that stuff back up. Now, I do have cavities, and that is not because of the way I eat now. It is because of the way I ate for decades that harmed and destroyed my teeth, and I'm bummed out about that because I do need to see a dentist. But with that multiple chemical sensitivity makes it a little bit difficult to see dentists. I have to find somebody for sure that never uses mercury in their practice, and I have to find somebody whose office does not smell like chemicals. That is hard to do with dentists because they always smell like chemicals because they use all the epoxies and resins and metals, and all the stuff that they use in teeth are made of petrochemicals. Like that's plastic. So that's something I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do once we get dental insurance again. But the receding gums and the bleeding gums are gone, and that is awesome. We're almost at the end of the list. This is amazing. So another symptom is hypoglycemia. That developed. I never had hypoglycemia before until I started eating a heavy animal protein based diet. And I know now that it was because of that heavy animal protein based diet, but I did develop hypoglycemia. The way I eat now is so different to how I used to eat. I used to eat 3 big meals every day, And now I eat many, many little meals. So that's to support my adrenals, and that's so that I don't experience any crashes. And I do know that it is important for me to eat those many little meals. I would say that's been healed. I don't know how to show that. Like, I'm not going to go hours and hours without eating, because I know what happens is then my adrenals have to run to support me. And I know that the food I'm eating digests very quickly, and so I need to eat more frequently. It's just a whole different thing now. So I think I might have talked about in a previous video that when I developed all the anxiety, did I even talk about PTSD? I have so much PTSD, I think I talked about that, and I developed all the anxiety. I ended up developing agoraphobia. I became just afraid to go out of my house, and it just became such an incredibly stressful situation for me to leave my house that I just didn't want to leave my house, because I would react to everything because of my mast cell activation disorder and my body just being so out of whack, and my immune system and my nervous system just being so overwhelmed and having so much inflammation in my body. Everything was just too much, and I just never wanted to leave, and it just became like terrifying for me to leave the house. So agoraphobia. Another symptom that's sort of random and not related to that, I don't think I talked about this before, because I did talk about stuff with my skin, but like I couldn't touch paper or cardboard. I love to draw and I love to write. I love to write in journals, and I was really into doing like Zentangle for a long time, but it got to where I couldn't touch any paper. At first there were just certain kinds of paper I couldn't touch, but then it got to be where I couldn't touch any paper because it would just suck the moisture out of my skin, and then my skin would be all dry and cracked and peely. So when we would pack to move, it became very tricky because I couldn't touch cardboard. Cardboard was one of the worst ones. I think because cardboard has lots of glues and chemicals as well, so it just like my skin was just like no. And I couldn't touch cardboard and I couldn't touch paper, and I am happy to say that I can touch paper, I can write in my notebooks, I can draw if I want to. I can even touch cardboard, although I'm still very careful with cardboard. It kind of freaks me out because of how bad it was for me before, so I'm always like a little bit like, just a little bit. But I can open a package. If I get a package, I can open the box and it's okay. Like I couldn't before. I would have to have my husband do that, and it's healed. So I'm very excited about that. Another thing is I have found that I have to be really careful even touching needles. So I sew a lot, and I like to do hand sewing. It's not an issue obviously when I'm just sewing on my sewing machine because I don't have to touch the needle. But if I'm hand sewing, I'm sewing with a needle and I have to hold that needle. Now, two things happen. I started having pain in my hand to the point where I couldn't hold the needle anymore. I couldn't knit. You know, knitting requires a lot of little movements with your fingers. I couldn't hand sew for a couple years. And that was really sad for me because I'm a crafty person and I like to knit and I like to sew, and I wasn't able to do those things because they caused me too much pain. And sewing even, they're like to another level, the needle itself, needles are just usually made of steel, and then they're coated with something. They're coated with nickel or whatever. And that coating wears off over time, especially if you're using them a lot. And obviously that gets in your skin and stuff like that. And I have not found a good solution for this other than just drinking my heavy metal detox smoothie to get it back out. Now, I used to just save all my needles as long as they were still straight. Even if the coating wore off, I would still use them. My body has told me, like, you can't do that. Because I will get, like, a burning sensation in my fingers from holding on to an uncoated needle. It is weird. And it's new. And I really think it's my body just saying, like, this is not okay, this is toxic, and it's gonna harm you. So now I have started throwing out any needles that lose their coating and try not to do too much hand sewing, I guess. And I bought these little protective like finger covers to put on so that I'm not directly touching the needle, but then they don't work that well. They're not that grippy enough, and so I'm still looking for solutions is what I'm saying. Thus completes my list of symptoms that I can remember so far. I don't think this list is complete because there are some that I know I've forgotten, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay, but it's a pretty long list anyway. It's close to 120 symptoms at this point. When I first counted them, it was like 105, but then as I was talking, I was like, oh, that's one I forgot to write. Oh, that's one I forgot to write. So I think the list has gone up and up and up. The point being, so many symptoms have healed using the medical medium information. And I know I'm not finished. Obviously, obesity being a symptom, and that has not fully healed, but it is healing. And I am losing weight, and I have not gained any more weight since starting medical medium information. I have only lost weight, so that is freaking fantastic. And I do think there will be a level at which all of my symptoms have fully and completely healed, and they will just all be gone, and then I can just adjust my life accordingly and like my supplements to a maintenance level, and then just like maintain it. And then I always have the tools that I need if something does come up, or I get hit with something like a load of toxins or a bite or an accident or something happens, then I know what to do. I know what to do. I know I can up supplements. I know that what things to change, and it's so amazing just having that confidence and that feeling of I got this. You know, I don't have to wonder. I don't have to worry. I don't have to stress about it. I know what to do. I never had that before. I never had that before medical medium information. I never felt like I knew what to do. I felt like I had Band-Aid help, but never on a level of like, this is healing me. I know that I am healing, and I know that I will fully heal, and I know that it's just going to keep going up from here. Not in a straight line up, but you know, like little, but eventually up. The trajectory is good, and the prognosis is healing, full healing. That's such an amazing feeling to know that. So I am delighted with where I am in my healing. I am delighted that in only 3 years I have managed to heal so many symptoms and conditions to some degree or another after decades of being unwell. I am just amazed at how I feel and how much has changed and shifted within me, and how much more in touch I am with my food and the environment and the energy and myself, and how much more trust I have in myself. I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful. I am also grateful for you coming along on this healing journey. Thank you, my healers and health seekers, my beautiful friends. I love you so much. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up below. You can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already by hitting that subscribe button, and you can ding the bell next to it if you want to be notified when I post new videos. Again, I just appreciate your presence on this, my healing journey, and I appreciate you coming along with me, and I love you, and I love your questions, and I love your comments and everything you guys tell me and share with me. I love sharing this healing journey with others who are healing. I wish you so many blessings on your continued healing journey. Stay curious, my healers and health seekers, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.